It's quiet.
Hey, Jose,
Quiet.
your wheels are clean.
Hello and welcome to the ITSR Twisted Cup Tuesday Nights Live. As always, MW Productions this evening. The greener grass on the other side, 100 from the Kentucky Speedway, located in Sparta, Kentucky. It's MW Productions bringing you live flag-to-flag coverage. As always, my name is Evan Pasoko, welcoming you into the broadcast for this evening's 150-mile and 100-lap affair. Once again at the 1.5-mile speedway of the Kentucky Speedway, race number 5 on the second season and the 2014 campaign for the ITSR guys. And before we move forward to this evening's race, take a look back at last week's results, where we went to the Infineon Speedway, Sonoma, California, road course racing, 30 laps, no cautions there, so we saw a very spread out field that was dominated. Fastest in practice, number one qualifier, and ended up taking it home at the end was Justin Wilson in the 58 car, led all 30 laps on track to a 45 max point night up at the top of the board. Rich Jett was able to come home and secure a second place finish. He started in third. Nathan Little, the car that started alongside Justin Wilson on the front row in that second starting spot, was able to walk home third. Last car on the lead lap, Jose Gonzalez is able to come home. He wraps up a position number 4 finish, one lap down also Jason Williams coming home in 5th. Scott Simley and number 14 able to come home in position number 16. Douglas Wyatt starts 7th, he finishes 7th and walks away with that spot. J. Randall Watkins comes home in 8th. LD Sarabia into the 9th spot, and Stephen Herring rounding out the top 10. And that's going to take us forward to our championship standings, where Jose Gonzalez sits up at the top of the pile, sitting on 2 wins in the 4 races that have been completed, again, this second season on the 2014 campaign. He's up at the top of the pile with 169 points, sitting on 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s in 4 starts. Scott Simley is the second closest challenger, second in the points, 11 points back, sitting also with 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s. Stefan Marinak is in third, 13 points back from the top of the pile. Rich Jett sits 17 back in the number 4 spot in the championship standings, and rounding out the top 5 is LD Sarabia, 21 points back. 26 back is John Wilco in position number 6. Stephen Herring sits 7th, 39 back, 1 point behind him. CJ LeVere sits 40 back in the 8th spot, 1 more point back as well. Brian Harvey, 41 back in the number 9 spot, and rounding out the top 10 is Douglas Wyatt. He sits currently in the championship standings, 48 points back. So one race separates the top 3 of the championship standings. Still a lot of racing to go, and that leads us forward to this evening's race here at the Kentucky Speedway, one of our 1.5-mile cookie cutter racetracks, again located in Sparta, Kentucky. Capacity crowd 107,000 people and pile into this speedway, which is owned by Speedway Motorsports Incorporated. Broke ground in 1998. It opened in 2000, so a 14-year-old racetrack for construction costs of $153 million. The track layout, it's a tri-oval asphalt surface. Again, 1.5 miles is the distance. 4 corners banked at 14 degrees. Very wide racetrack, but a very rough surface. 8 to 10 degree variable banking in the tri-oval, and 4 degrees down the back straightaway. Right now, the drivers currently working through their qualifying session. Unlike last week, where we saw one of the appearances of the open qualifying setup, tonight once again closed. 2 laps, individual car runs to set the field. And right now, Bobby Terrell on the provisional pole, and just as I say that, Justin Wilson in 58 hops at the top of the board as they continue to put down some laps. So qualifying not done, but right now that 58 is on the provisional pole. 2 other races coming up with the ITSR guys later on in this season. Again, this is only race number 4, or rather race number 5 on the second part of the 2014 campaign. We have Daytona coming up in 1 week's time, followed by Loudon. Then an off week, we go to Indianapolis, to the likes of Pocono, Watkins Glen, Michigan, Bristol. All still remain in the second season, so a lot of exciting racing to come forward. But again, in order to get to those races, you got to make it through Sparta, Kentucky. Again, tonight's greener grass on the other side, 100. Brought to you by the likes of Axo Sanitary Services, Hippies Paint Shop, Quick Car Racing Products. Just some of the people that make things work here with the ITSR Twisted Cup Tuesday nights. We're going to go down trackside as time continues to wind down in the qualifying session. We're going to go down trackside now for the opening ceremonies.
New shoes, and I don't know where I'm going to. Silk suit, black tie, and I don't need a reason why. They'll come running just as fast as they can. Every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. Watch, diamond ring. Well, I ain't missing on a single thing. Conflicts, stick pin. Ask if I don't know to do you in. They come running just as fast as they can.
Hey, look here, beavers. You better hide your wives, hide your husband, and look here, both of you hide your kids, cause we're coming.
Every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. Looking sharp, looking for love. They come running just as fast as they can. Every girl's crazy about a sharp-dressed man. Make some noise! Clean shirt, new shoes, and I don't know where I'm going to. Silk suit, black tie, and I don't need a reason why. They come running just as fast as they can. Every girl's crazy about it.
Back live here at Sparta, Kentucky, in the Kentucky Motor Speedway as qualifying comes to a close, and we're going to run you down the starting grid in this evening's greener grass on the other side. 100 on pole position with a time of a 29.561. Justin Wilson looking to make it back-to-back wins after going to victory lane last week in Sonoma, California. Alongside him on the front row is going to be Bobby Terrell in the number 2 spot, pulling out that 14 Muscle Milk Chevy. Take a look back at row number 2. Matt Lacrosse in the 21 machine is going to be occupying that number 3 spot. And the 4 of CJ LaFerre, looking for a little bit of luck, is starting in position number 4 on the outside of that second row. Back to row number 3. The 5th starting position belongs to the driver of the 3 machine. That's LD Sarabia. Alongside him, Ryan Vaughn's going to roll the 28 machine off in position number 6. Ben Burnett, the number 7 spot, in the number 37 machine, buys the inside of row number 4. Alongside him, Brian Harvey in the 66 machine, going to be rolling off in 8th. Jose Gonzalez, the last car to put down atop of the qualifying session, into number 26, will be starting in P9, the inside of row number 5, and rounding out the top 10, Rich Jet in the number 36 machine. Take a look back. 2 more rows on this grid. Number 11 spot belongs to the 5, Hippie Douglas Wyatt, in that position, and outside row number 6, position 12, belongs to the 62 of John Wilco. One last car on the field in race control, Stephen Herring, who has just wrapped up another riveting driver's meeting before we get going here this evening, will sit shotgun on this 13-car field at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. Justin Wilson will be starting on pole position. Again, he's trying to make it back-to-back wins. Bobby Terrell is on the outside. Those are the 2 drivers that make up your front row, and expect this one to be a quick one. A low number of cars, only 100 laps. These guys running sub 30-second laps on fresh tires, so this race could have a green atmosphere to it. CJ LaFerre tells us 45-ish amount of the laps that you can make it on fuel. That's about 5 laps short each run of splitting this race into a one-stop strategy, so that could be a discussion to see if we see any drivers playing some of that strategy to try to make that fuel work and make it on the least amount of stops as we get ready to kick this race off. At a turn number 4, the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car gets ready to pull down to the safety of pit road and put the fields in the hand of the 58 of Justin Wilson. He does so, pace car onto pit road. Justin Wilson in control of this field, slowly creeping up the speed, not quite on the loud pedal yet. Continues to go now. The green flag flies, but it's in. The 58's on the gas, and we are racing at the Kentucky Motor Speedway here, race number 5 on the Season 2 2014 campaign with the ITSR Twisted Cup Tuesday nights. Bobby Terrell, after starting second, he's dropped back to third as the 21 of Matt Lacrosse was able to use that inside of row number 2 to the number 3 spot to move up into second, and that's where he sits right now as everybody quickly single filing themselves out in this race, and that way they can try to get a pace going. But I feel like there's going to be a battle for the lead. Huge run as Matt Lacrosse comes chugging on the outside lane. He wants the number 1 spot. Justin Wilson does lead lap 1, but there goes that 21 way up the racetrack, 2 lanes higher than the 58 of Wilson runs, and he clears him. And now move Matt Lacrosse at a turn number 2 to the number 1 position, as Matt Lacrosse will lead lap number 2 as they work through 3 and 4 to complete this lap. That drops the 58 of Justin Wilson back side by side for third, as the 14 of Bobby Terrell continues his slide after starting second, drop back to third on the lead lap, and now the 4 machine of CJ LaFerre gets around him as well. CJ moves up from 4th on the drop of the green flag now to 3rd, and Bobby Terrell now sits in 4th. He's lost 2 laps, or 2 positions in those 2 laps, as he is going the wrong direction. Side by side behind them, the 28 of Ryan Vaughn wants a shot at the 3 of LD Sarabia. 28 to the bottom, the 3 machine stays high, and Ryan Vaughn slides up off the corner and give him that position. So Ryan Vaughn in the 28 is going to go up to position number 5. 20 over to Matt Lacrosse, says he wanted a bonus point, went up, led the lap, and now he has backed her down, and Justin Wilson has retaken the lead. He has allowed CJ LaFerre to pass him. So Matt Lacrosse, coming over the radio, said he wanted to lead a lap. He's going to get a bonus point to go towards that 21 teams championship standings and then basically just backed out of it way early, let everybody go on by. He currently sits third, but is in no rush to go anywhere. He wants to take this race patient, so that re-puts the 58 of Justin Wilson in the catbird seat. He is in control of this race. He has a half of a second lead over CJ LaVere. CJ LaVere, the number 4 car, currently sits in the number 2 spot after starting 4. So CJ going the right direction in this thing. One car already 1 lap down. John Wilco is on pit road for damage repairs. The 62 had a little bit of an issue on lap number 3 at a turn number 2. Got sideways and smacked that inside wall with the left side of the race car. And he is down on pit road for some repairs. So out of the 13 cars that have started this evening early, trouble for one machine puts the 62 of Wilco 1 lap down, so 12 drivers remain on the lead lap. The battle could be shaping up front, however. 0.3 of a second separate the top 2 now, as CJ LaFair has been able to close that gap down from what was half a second to 0.3, and the 4 machine is flying up at a turn number 4 as the 58 looked like he was searching for some grip. We're going to be side by side into turn number 1 as CJ LaFair is going to use the bottom to get around the 58 JGR Chevrolet of Justin Wilson. Wilson tries to come back, a little bit of a crossover, looks low at a 2, can't get the job done, and CJ LaFair is going to go to the point at the top of this field. CJ still searching for a win and is looking for a little bit of consistency. No top 5s this season, only sitting on 2 top 10s in 4 starts. He's 40 points out of the championship lead. So the 4 machine running strong here this evening as he takes lap number 8 in this 100 lap affair. So he's using that second groove out there on the racetrack. 58 of Justin Wilson's really not dropping back. 58 is settled in second, but not too far behind is that 21 of Matt Lacrosse, who backed out of the lead position after getting that lap led. He rides around in third. The top 4 separated by just about a second. Bobby Terrell in fourth is 1.1 seconds back. So this field pretty close together. A lot of bumper-to-bumper traffic as John Wilco remains on pit road trying to get repairs done to his Chevrolet. His night, for all intents and purposes, is done. Again, that trouble the inside wall at a turn number 2 on lap number 3 has caused the damage to that 62. So top 3 riding around and trying to pull away for the pack as the gap has been extended from the 3rd place car. The 21 of Matt Lacrosse, who just got real sideways at a turn number 4. So he's actually going to lose that lead draft, so to speak. He's going to drop now 0.6 back. But those top 3 were over a second away from 4th on back and were within 0.2 of each other. So they were chugging along, trying to get away from everybody else. And then Matt Lacrosse had that little bit of a bobble there at a turn number 4, got sideways, corrected it, but lost a lot of time. So he drops, or rather stays in 3rd, but drops back from this lead pack as he tries to reel them back in and didn't make up any time this last time. Babaji's trying to use that little bit of a draft that you can get, if any, and try to catch these guys on the field. Talk to Jose Gonzalez, the 26, who sits in the number 7 spot at the last few races, with the exception of our last race at Sonoma, California, the road course in Fidion. Obviously, getting these Gen 6 cars around a road course, you got to be real touchy on the throttle, but one of the big things that everyone's been talking about the last few races and pretty much for all of this second season is the new tire model. Not really new anymore, but the tire model makes these setups very unstable. Jose said before the race that this race car feels like it has a little bit more security than some of their setups have in the past, and now he is actually trying to pounce for position number 5. 66 of Brian Harvey owns that spot. A couple of guys trying to take it away with the likes of Rich Jett in 6th in a number 36 machine, trying to close up on him for a side-by-side battle. He does. 36 of Rich Jett to the bottom of the 66 of Brian Harvey by the stripe. Harvey with the advantage. Expect this 36 of Jett to get the advantage down now into turns 1 and 2. He has the 26 of Jose Gonzalez in tow, so Jose and Rich Jett try to make it work on the bottom lane. A little bit of a bobble, and the 66 of Brian Harvey held tough there, dropped the run at a 2, brought it almost door-to-door out of back straightaway, still side-by-side between the 36 and the 66, and now in the middle of 3 and 4, 36 is all over the racetrack, chases it all the way up the hill, and now one car sideways in the middle of the racetrack on the front straightaway. It's Justin Wilson. After running in the top 3, gets sideways and self-spins out of turn number 4 and has to get out of the gas real quickly, slams on the brakes, and everybody has to scatter around him as he was sideways in the middle of the racetrack there on the front straightaway. Everybody recovers, and the lights of the pace car have not come on, so we remain under green flag conditions. Ben Burnett in the 37 machine has lost 2 laps. He is now the second car to no longer be on the lead lap, as his 37 made a trip down to pit road. And now one spinner 58 again, Justin Wilson around. Caution flag going to fly, as something is evil under the hood of the 58 of Justin Wilson. His car has just gone downhill these last 2 laps, spun at a 4 and then brought it around this time on lap number 14, and it spun out again right in front of Ben Burnett. That's going to bring out the caution as CJ LaVere sits up in the number 1 position. And assuming everybody were to make a pit stop here, that would pretty much make everybody good to go on one more stop if this race were to go green from this point on. Top 5 right now: CJ LaVere, Matt Lacrosse, Rich Jett, Brian Harvey, and Jose Gonzalez are the top 5 of the racetrack. The 2 cars not on the lead lap. 11 remain on the lead lap. 12th position, Ben Burnett is 3 laps down. John Wilco, 11 laps down. His car has gotten some significant repairs. It looks a lot better than it did when he entered. However, 11 laps down in 13th. Again, his night, for all intended purposes, is over. The field is grouped up behind the Ford First Racing Mustang pace car, and they're going to get ready most likely to hit the pit lane here, led by CJ LaVere. Pace speed, a mere 50 miles an hour, so these guys feel like they're having to coast through the corners to stay behind the pace car. But now CJ LaVere hits the apron, and expect them all to come down. Think it's a little too early to put any tire strategy into it, but who knows. So CJ LaVere hits pit road at 45 miles an hour, no more, no less, and it brings everybody down. Do we see any strategy? We're going to have to find out. The guy in the catbird seat is going to be Justin Wilson. He has the last pit box on pit road. However, he is entering in the last spot, 11th, so expect him to possibly pick up a few positions. That last pit box does pay due dividends, but out of 4 of LaVere enters hits pit stall with no issues. The 21 does as well. Right side tires going on all of these machines. Looks like it's going to be a 4-tire stop for LaVere and everybody else. And now as they go to exit their stops, it's a race off pit road that is going to be won by Matt Lacrosse. The 21 enters pit road behind CJ LaVere in the second spot. He'll exit first and goes to the point. We're going to step away, take a quick commercial break under this caution flag. You're watching the ITSR Twisted Cup Tuesday nights at MW Productions. Matt Lacrosse leads at Kentucky Motor Speedway. We're going to have more coming up right after the break. Back live at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. It's the ITSR Twisted Cup Tuesday nights live on MW Productions. Tonight, the greener grass on the other side, 100 at the Kentucky Speedway, located in Sparta, Kentucky. Brought to you by the likes of Axo Sanitary Service, Hippie Paint Shop, and Quick Car Racing Products. Some of the people that make things possible here. Are you watching live, as always, on MW Productions? My name is Evan Pasoko, up at the broadcast booth with you guys here this evening, getting set for our first restart of the race after a caution for a spinning 58 of Justin Wilson, who will restart at the tail end of the lead lap in position number 11. On the point after passing CJ LaVere on the pit stops, Matt Lacrosse will be in the catbird seat on this restart in that number 1 spot. LaVere drops to second. Those two make up your front row as the pace car comes off of turn number 4 and gets ready to dive down to the safety of pit road. Control car to the number 21 can go from any point from when the pace car hits pit road to the sim throwing the green flag on a drop of the initial start. Justin Wilson nearly waited the whole time. Matt Lacrosse gets going a lot sooner. And a green flag flies. We're racing once again, and Kentucky quickly opens up an 8-car lead over the 36 of Rich Jett, who slides into the number 2 spot. Once again, starting in third, pays due dividends over second, having that inside line starting behind the control car on the restart, like we saw in the drop of the green flag, where Matt Lacrosse was able to do the move. So does the 36 of Rich Jett. Goes from third to second around the 4 of CJ LaVere. So CJ started second, drops back to third now as he tries to track the 38 of Rich Jett off a quarter number 4, 2-car lengths. Separate those two. That is the battle for positions 2 and 3. 4/10 ahead of these guys is race leader Matt Lacrosse in the number 21 machine. Again, everybody single filing up quite quickly, side by side back in the pack for the 37 machine of Ben Burnett, who sits 2 laps down, is trying to work his way around the 26 of Jose Gonzalez. Jose on the lead lap in position number 9, and those two sort things out as they enter turns 3 and 4. So that gets settled. Matt Lacrosse crossed the stripes, completes lap number 21 in his number 21 machine in the number 1 spot. The battle for second continues to heat up. Here goes CJ LaVere. Sees an opening as the 36 of Rich Jett slides a little high. The 4 of LaVere to the bottom. And we're going to be side by side down to back straightaway. 36 is going to back out of it. And Rich Jett allows CJ LaVere to sneak by on the inside as they enter turns 3 and 4. And CJ LaVere will put that ITS Racing Chevrolet back up in the number 2 spot. But here comes Bobby. Bobby Terrell at a number 14 machine is able to sneak in and take third away also. So the 36 of Rich Jett goes from second to fourth in 1 lap and has more company. But the 14 of Bobby Terrell was able to get around him. The next car trying to do so is the 66 of Brian Harvey, who sits 5th, wants 4th from Rich Jett, who's struggling to keep pace here a little bit on this restart. Doing pretty good now, but the 66 is knocking on that door. LaVere trying to check out and actually doing a good job at running down race leader Matt Lacrosse this time by, scoring a good update, and the differential is going to go from 7/10 of a second to 3 of them. So the 4 of CJ LaVere again looking for his, not only his first win on this second season in the 2014 campaign for the ITSR Twisted Cup Tuesday Night Series, but is looking for his top 5 in these first 4 races. This is race number 5 and has not had the start of the season that he had been looking for by any means. And he's closing. And there's going to be a battle for the lead within 1 or 2 laps here. The distance is 2-3 car lengths that tie by. It was only 1/10 of a second. The differential between the top 2. Lacrosse still in control, but the 4 of CJ LaVere is definitely starting to close in on him as the 4 just looks really comfortable and really stable. You're talking fuel strategy at the top of the show. We mentioned 45 laps or so is the fuel strategy and the fuel distance that number 4 can go. However, we made all pit stops on lap number 15, so that pretty much cuts this race into 1 more stop if it were to remain under green flag conditions until we reach the checkered flag. And already a quarter way through this race, again almost a shootout style, still 100 laps, a good distance, but definitely one of the shorter stints for sure on the ITS Racing schedule for sure. If you're just tuning in or if you're new to the series, we have a lot more racing coming up next week. We go to Daytona in 1 week's time for the Happy Birthday America, presented by Hippie's Paint Shop and Quick Car Racing Products. 74 laps at the 2.5 mile super speedway. That will be next Tuesday nights on MW Productions, as it is week in and week out. Pass for second. Bobby Terrell is able to make the pass on the 21 of Matt Lacrosse. So Matt Lacrosse drops back to third and nearly spins it out at a turn number 2. as that car nearly stepped away from the rear end, started to slide out, and he was able to recover. But once again, Matt Lacrosse is going to go from second all the way back to fifth, if not worse. And now caution on a racetrack, one car around and having some trouble in the back. It's the 5 of Hippie Douglas Wyatt, and it's going to be a self-spin at a turn number 2. Overcorrected it, locked that wheel to the right, and the car would not respond in time and plowed into the inside wall. That will bring out our second caution of the evening on lap 27. Heavy black smoke is pouring out from the number 5 machine, so second caution of the evening in what many would have anticipated to be a long green flag and maybe a race that could have gone with no cautions. However, that is the second in these opening stages. We are past the quarter mark once again, so this race is moving along quite steadily, but we're going to slow him down one more time. CJ Lavere in the number 1 position. Don't expect people to come down pit road. It has been about 10 laps, so there is a small possibility that some of them might want to play games, come in and might as well take some 4 fresh tires. We might see a little bit of gamesmanship up at the front of the field, or everybody's going to come down. Let's see. CJ Lavere appears to be leading down the field. Does anybody fake him out, or is everybody going to come down? It looks like they're all going to enter. Lavere, Bobby Terrell, Rich Jett, Wilson Lacrosse, Harvey Gonzalez, Vaughn Herring. All the lead lap cars going to head down the pit lane. Douglas Wyatt has pulled it off. He is no longer on the racetrack. So Lavere entered pit road first about 10 laps ago, exited second as it was the 21 of Mount Lacrosse who beat him out of that. Let's see how the 4 does this time, executing his entrance into his pit box. A very smooth job and possibly a 2-tire stop. Let's see, right side's going up at the cars right now, and it looks like it is going to be a 4-tire stop for CJ Lavere, who led them all down. 26 is going to go to the point. Jose Gonzalez is going to be the big winner on pit road with a 2-tire call. Right sides only. He's going to go from position number 7 to P1, the top of the board for Jose Gonzalez. And even though he's only going to be on 2 fresh right side tires, those lefts are only about 10 laps old, and that clean air can do a lot for these Gen 6 cars. So let's see if that 26 of Jose Gonzalez is going to be able to make that strategy work and make it pay off. Try to lead some laps here. We're going to go green in about 2-3 laps or so, somewhere in the range of lap 32, 33, as we approach the 1/3 mark then in this race. Again, this race very short, 100 laps, still a good distance, but sub 30-second lap times, almost a shootout of sorts, to say the least. Again, right now, going to go back over the championships. It is Jose Gonzalez is at the top of the pile, sitting on 2 wins in 4 starts and 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s. So that machine for Jose Gonzalez has never finished below 10th place in this second season on the 2014 campaign for the ITSR Twisted Cup Series. Jose looking pretty right now. He has an 11-point gap over Scott Simley. Simley currently not in this race, so no threat going to be coming from Scott Simley, as he has not entered into this evening's race. Next closest car, Stefan Marinak, not here either as they run. So things looking pretty good for Jose up at the top of the pile here, as his competition nowhere to be found. And going to be interesting to see how the Puerto Rican Meatball Company Chevrolet hangs on in the number 1 spot. You see one car in front of him behind the pace car. That is the 62 of John Wilco. He doesn't mind these cautions because he stays out, does not pit, ends up in front of our leaders, and when a pace car gets the 1 to go, he will get the wave around, so he won't gain a lap from doing so, because technically he is at the tail end of 10 laps down right now, but the leaders, he's not going to get shuffled back. He'll get waved around, so he will sit 10 laps down. At one point, he was 12, so he's gotten a lap back on both of these cautions. So the 62 trying to slowly work his way back into contention. Not sure how effectively that's going to work. Douglas Wyatt is not officially retired from the race. He has not exited the sim, but he is not on racetrack after that heavy hit to the inside wall at a turn number 2. Has the 5 machine currently sitting 1 lap down, not on track in 12th. So that is a position that could possibly be picked up by John Wilco. If we were to see another caution right now, there are 2 cars battling 1 lap down. That is Douglas Wyatt. He is not on track. So right now, Ben Burnett is the only car 1 lap down on track in the 37 in position number 11 1 lap down. So if there were to be a caution, 37 would be the beneficiary of that lucky dog. And now the pace car comes by the start-finish line to see if we're going to get the one to go on this thing, and if the lights are extinguished on the pace car, and they do appear to be. So we're going to go green to take lap number 32 of 100, and the greener grass on the other side, 100. As the 100 laps is the scheduled distance, 150 miles around a 1.5 mile speedway here at the Kentucky Speedway. Again, big thanks to the people that make this happen: Axo Sanitary Services, Hippies Paint Shop, and Quick Car Racing Products. Some of the people that help out these guys here at ITSR to get these guys on track and put on a show for you, the viewers. 10 cars going to be on the lead lap when we come to take this next restart. It's going to be the third restart if you count the initial drop of the green flag. It is going to be the third different car that's going to be in the control spot. On the drop of the initial green flag, again, the control car has from when the pace car pulls off to when the sim throws the green flag. Some tracks, that's immediately, but a track like this gives you in excess of 5 seconds of time to play with. And on the start of the initial green flag, Justin Wilson waited and stretched out that entire time. He slowly crept up the speed. He actually gained 10 miles an hour for the pace car. He needed to pit road to the time that he actually nailed that thing. And then again, on our most recent restarts, we saw a little bit of a different strategy with Matt Lacrosse. Now Jose Gonzalez in the 26. Let's see how these going to work this out as the pace car pulls down to the safety of pit road right about now. Going to make that sharp left-hand turn. It does. Fielded in control of Jose, and there he goes. The third different strategy with our third different control car. The 26 has checked out. But for the third time this evening, the car that restarts third gets the upper hand on the car that restarts second. The 36 of Rich Jet. Made it working about it. Look at the power move by the 4 of LeVere on the high side, trying to clear the 36 of CJ LeVere. Survives it after it nearly looked like the 36 of Rich Jet had a made there going down to the corner. CJ, after restarting second on the outside of the front row, is able to make a power move in 1 and 2, hang on to his position over the 36 of Rich Jet. So Rich Jet will drop back to, or rather remain, in the number 3 spot. He was ahead of LeVere at the stripe. So for all intended purposes, Rich Jet was counted as second that last time by, but LeVere is able to defend where he restarted. He's at second. Another good jump and by Jose Gonzalez. 2 cars significantly further back. Stephen Harry, 9th and 10th place car of LD Saravia. These cars about 3 seconds away from the rest of this field. Not sure if there was anything that happened there on the restart with the number 98 and the number 3 cars, but they are a little bit off with our leaders. You see Jose Gonzalez in the 26. He's leading using the apron that last time by, and apron gets kind of tight here with that grass there in the tri-oval, and 26 of Jose is just using that to get a little bit more speed down the front straightaway. He does have a half a second advantage over CJ LeVere in the number 4 machine, who sits 0.525 seconds back. Scoring's going to update this next time by the stripe, and we'll be able to see if CJ has gained anything, and he does pick off a 10th. One thing to notice between the top 2 is CJ LeVere not using that dark asphalt apron, as opposed to how the 26 of Jose Gonzalez is riding, and the 4 machine of LeVere definitely try to work some sort of a draft to close in on Jose, and continues to do so as they both run up about 1 seam up on a racetrack and merge high off the corner and down the front straightaway. You'll see that 26 of Jose Gonzalez goes down below the yellow line and back up before he heads down into the turn. CJ gets down towards that bottom lane on the racetrack, but does not hit the apron, and then makes his turn, and he picked up once again another 1/10 of a second. The 26 way out of the groove that time at a turn number 2, and looked like he had to back off of it a little bit, but Jose is in the number 1 position. CJ LeVere is trying to close in side by side for third. Justin Wilson trying to take it away from the 36 of Rich Jet. Rich Jet is about to get caught by a swarm of cars, and the 58 passes him, and Rich Jet slides in line immediately to try to hold back the 14 of Bobby Terrell, who sits 5th just behind him, who now sits 4th. Rich Jet dropping back to 4th as Justin Wilson. But that 36 is in the wall, and Justin Wilson forces Bobby Terrell to get way out of line, trying to avoid any further incident. That allows him to Matt Lacrosse to get to the outside of the 14 of Bobby Terrell, and now Terrell with a run going to go side by side with the 36, the beaten and battered machine of Rich Jet to the high side. Terrell around Rich Jet. He brings the 21 of Matt Lacrosse in tow with him on the bottom lane. So the 14 of Terrell, the 21 of Lacrosse, both passed the 36 of Rich Jett. That time down the front straightaway, they completed their passes off of turn 2. Now as they work down the back straightaway, one more car trying to get in that mix. This 66 of Brian Harvey sits about a car length behind the 36 machine as all these guys continue to try to do battle for position here on the racetrack. Back up front, it continues to close in now to only 1/10 of a second. 0.133 seconds is the gap between Jose Gonzalez and CJ Lavere, positions 1 and 2 respectively. CJ trying to complete the pass again, still looking for his first top 5 in season number 2 here in 2014. Only 2 top 10s in his first 4 starts. We're looking to turn things around. And now CJ Lavere is actually spinning from the number 2 spot. Caution. Gonna fly on the speedway. Third caution of the night is for that 4 of CJ Lavere. And once that thing started to step out on him, he turned the wheel all the way right and just no response from the race car. He spun it out. He didn't point it into the inside wall. He didn't overcorrect it into the outside wall. So the 4 machine is able to avoid contact. But just as we mentioned, his tough start to this season number 2 here with his ITSR Cup Series guys spins it at a turn number 4. Not the first car to spin at a 4, but CJ spins from 2nd and will drop back to 10th. Much like we've seen Matt Lacrosse do in the past. Matt Lacrosse did the same thing and dropped back to the tail end of the lead lap, has since worked his way back up to position number 4, which moves now Justin Wilson into 2nd. Jose Gonzalez still leads after taking that 2-tire strategy. And now as we head for the pit lane once more, do we see anybody else pull a 2-tire strategy now that they saw how well it worked for Jose? 10 laps from the halfway point. Keeping tabs on some fuel strategy here. They got to go all the way down to the end of pit road. I believe Justin Wilson may be able to take advantage of this after qualifying on pole. He has that last pit stop on pit road. His pit stall is all the way down at the end, closest to the exit, and he enters pit road 2nd, right behind race leader Jose Gonzalez. So we're going to have to see how they work that out. Jose's into his stall, right side's on it, obviously going to take lefts as he took the 2-tire gamble that last time by the 58 of Justin Wilson, who entered pit road 2nd. Takes 4 tires. He can't beat Jose out. Jose is going to lead the charge off of pit road. Jose Gonzalez exits pit road in 1st. However, that is position number 2 on the racetrack as Bobby Terrell, or rather Rich Jett, in the 36 machine. His Chevrolet does not come down pit road, and he currently sits as our race leader. Gonna step away, take a second commercial break. You're watching the ITSR Twisted Cup Tuesday nights on MW Productions, working our 3rd caution of the evening in Sparta, Kentucky. Rich Jett leads. We're gonna have more action coming up after the break.
In a world where survival is the only rule and feelings have no place, where winning is everything and weakness is fatal, how much difference can one person make? That depends on the person. In every life, there is a line that cannot be crossed without leaving everything behind, except faith. Once that step is taken, there is no looking back, and all that lies ahead is destiny. There is no looking back, and all that lies ahead is destiny.
Back live at the Kentucky Motor Speedway, Rich Jett, the ValorForVets.com Chevrolet, gives up the lead under the commercial break as he came down for service, and the team had to make some repairs to his right front of his machine. So he drops back to 9th, and that puts Jose Gonzalez back at a point. So the two-tire strategy got him out of that dirty air mid-pack, and he was able to hang on to his lead that whole last stint, and now exits pit road back in the number 1 spot and will once again be in control of this restart. When we go green, we're going to be taking lap number 44 of 100 here at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. Then the greener grass on the other side, 100 at a turn 4. The iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car gets ready to dive down and make that sharp left-hand turn once again to the safety of pit road, and there it goes. Jose Gonzalez in control once again, almost immediately on the loud pedal. Green flag flies. We're racing again in Kentucky. Matt Lacrosse in the 21 machine right away again, that third car inside of the second row, always trying to get that jump on the car that has to start alongside our leader, and Matt Lacrosse going to go from third to second on the restart. The 58 of Wilson wants to reclaim that spot, has a good run at it. 2 stalls out at the back bumper of the 21 of Matt Lacrosse, and then they separate by about 2-3 car lengths through 3, and coming out of now turn number 4, Jose Gonzalez is the control car, and he is out in front of this field. 11 cars on the lead lap. Last car on the lead lap was at one point our leader. CJ LaVere actually now moves up to position number 10, so he's trying to pick his way back to the field after spinning from the number 2 spot in turn number 4. That makes Stephen Herring the last car on lead lap, and Gold Bond Chevrolet the number 98 machine. 11 cars on the lead lap. John Wilco 9 laps down in 12th, and Douglas Wyatt is not on the racetrack again. Still yet to officially retire from the sim, but his car back in the garage. So Douglas Wyatt, his night appears to be done for good. Top 3 trying to pull away once again and work that draft up at the front of the field. They have opened up nearly a second between Wilson, who is at the back end of that top 3, and the number 3 spot in his 58 machine. Nearly have a second over Bobby Terrell in the 14, who sits in position number 4. And now the 21 of Matt Lacrosse continues to try to reel in Jose Gonzalez up at the front of the field. To see Jose in the 26 continuing to use that apron there on the front straightaway right by the start-finish sign. The 21 of Matt Lacrosse does not do so. We saw CJ LaVere when he was running second refuse to go down to the apron. That just shows you some of the different lines that you can run here at the Kentucky Speedway. And again, a very rough surface, very bumpy, which could attribute to some of the cars that you see right there. The 21 of Matt Lacrosse has a little bit of a bobble, and he has to chase it all the way up the hill and may lose a little bit of time. He does. He lost about a tenth. The gap goes from 1/10 to now 2/10 of a second between the top 2 on the racetrack. Justin Wilson starting to slowly fade away from these 2 in the 58. However, a good run at a 2 appears to help his cause as he tries to chase them down, and now they have officially checked out by about a second from the cars in positions 4th on back. Jose again entering tonight as the championship leader, already 2 wins. Season number 2, the 2014 campaign. Jose 2 for 4, so a 50% chance of winning so far, and he has led 179 laps in those 4 races, and actually didn't lead any last race, as that race was dominated by Justin Wilson. So you want to make the stats sound a little bit better. 179 laps led in 3 starts for Jose Gonzalez. He also won the pole 2 times this season. Did not quite have the result that he wanted tonight. Nearly a second off pace. Started in 9th. But again, that 2-tire strategy call has put him up in the number 1 position. Top 3 continuing to try to scoot away from the field, as a lot of bumper-to-bumper traffic back in the pack. Side by side for 5th, the 66 of Brian Harvey wants it from the 28 of Ryan Vaughn. Ryan Vaughn stays high as he has a battered back end on his 28 Ford Fusion, and the 66 of Brian Harvey is able to get away from Ryan Vaughn. So Ryan Vaughn in the 28 drops back to 6th, and Brian Harvey will advance his number 66 into position number 5 on the racetrack. Harvey started this race in 6th, so continues to try to methodically pick his way through this field as we start to close in on it. And we have passed the halfway point as Jose Gonzalez is on lap 51 of 100. So we're going to do a full field rundown here at the halfway point. Position number 1 belongs to the 26 of Jose Gonzalez. Matt Lacrosse in the 21 machine sits in second. Justin Wilson in the 58 in third. Bobby Terrell in the 14 machine sits fourth. Brian Harvey in the 66 sits in fifth position. Ryan Vaughn in the 28 machine sits in position number 6. Seventh belonging to Rich Jett in the number 36 machine. CJ LaFair continuing to try to claw his way through this field, and the number 4 machine sits in 8th. 9th belongs to the 37 of Ben Burnett. LD Sarabia in the 3 machine sits in position number 10. 11th belongs to the 98 of Stephen Herring. John Wilco in the 62 sits in position number 12. And not on the racetrack, our first retiree is Douglas Wyatt in the number 5 car, who rounds out a very small field, only 13 cars taking the grid here this evening. Last race at the Sonoma Road Course, almost a similar sight, 16 cars started that race, but a week from today we go racing at none other than Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing under the lights at that 2.5 mile super speedway. Expect a little bit of a bigger pack to be showing up and a lot more cars taking the green. That race drops in about 1 week's time, live as always on MW Productions. 9:30 Eastern Standard Time is the time that we go live for that broadcast, so make sure to tune in for that one. Daytona, those plate tracks, always an exciting one to see. Not really for the drivers, but more if you're just watching the race, sitting back and relaxing and kind of making fun of their pain as they have to negotiate through that draft. But back on tonight's race, Jose Gonzalez is still up front, but the top 3 have really started to close in on him. Bobby Terrell is all by himself. He's about 2 seconds back for the guys in front of him and 2 seconds ahead of the guys behind him. So Terrell in 4th is all alone, essentially. Top 3 are very close together. Jose has to slide up because he goes down to the apron on the front straightaway and got right up in front of Matt Lacrosse that time into turn number 1. Now attitude out of back straightaway on lap 56. Jose trying to hold him off. The 21 of Matt Lacrosse and the 58 of Justin Wilson are both there. That about a car length separate the top 3 this time by. They've been able to catch Jose. Catching a driver is one thing, but executing and completing a pass is a whole different story, because you're not going to be able to use your preferred line to get around somebody unless they just let you go. Don't anticipate Jose Gonzalez to roll over and give this one up. But a great run that time by that 21 of Matt Lacrosse. Was real fast through corner number 2 and got a great run out of back straightaway. Closed it in back to about 2 car lengths to the back bumper of the 26 of Jose Gonzalez, who sits in the number 1 position. Expect that gap to close this time by. It was 2/10 last time by the stripe. This time scoring getting updated is 1/10 of a second separating the top 2. 4/10 back from the leader is Justin Wilson in his Joey Jattina Racing Chevrolet. The JGR 58 runs in 3rd. So top 3 really the closest on the racetrack right now. We got a group of 3 cars fairly close. Ben Burnett in 8th, 9th LD Sarabia, and 10th Stephen Herring. Those 3 cars are separated by a car length towards the tail end of this pack. They're about 9 seconds behind where our leaders run on the racetrack right now, and it looks like the 3 of LD Sarabia maybe trying to set up that 37 of Ben Burnett, the National Guard Chevrolet. 37 may become the prey here not too long now. Caution flag gonna fly as trouble on the racetrack brings out another yellow. The 58 of Justin Wilson, not the first time this evening, and he's gonna go from running top 3, spins it out on the highlight at a 2, and backs the rear end of his Chevrolet into the wall hard. 2 hits at least, and the 58 currently working with some pretty severe back end damage on his machine. Tough break for Justin Wilson. And again, we talked about how Jose Gonzalez said he feels like this setup is a little bit more stable than what we've seen in races past. Well, that spin looks like what we've seen the last few weeks out on the ovals, and that is those rear ends stepping out on corner exit. You're driving on the threshold, and if you go over that line just a little bit too much, there's no chance of recovering it. You can turn the wheel to the right, nothing's going to happen. You're going to be heading right to the inside wall, and if you lock it up, that's not really going to help your case either. And that's how you saw Justin Wilson get into the wall. He's not the only person to spin. We've seen CJ LaFair go around as well. LaFair did it at a 4, so he had a little bit more room to recover. Didn't hit anything. But Justin Wilson's night, after looking to go back-to-back trips to victory lane, he has pulled it to the garage. The 58 is going back to get service done to that machine. So tough break. Justin Wilson going to drop off the lead lap, which will only leave 9 cars, and they're all headed down pit road, led by Jose Gonzalez for a lap 60 pit stop here once again under the caution flag. No green flag pit stops. These drivers really only needed 2 stops to make it to the end if there were green flag conditions, but considering the 3-4 cautions that we have seen, every time they get a chance, they're coming down for fresh Goodyear tires. So Jose leads them in. Let's see if he's going to be able to lead them off as he comes into his pit stall. Very clean entry, doesn't overshoot it or anything like that, and everybody else files in. Another possibility would be somebody trying to take a tire gamble. Does somebody take 2 tires? That's what Jose Gonzalez used to get up to the front of the field. 4 tires for the 26 of Jose, and coming off the pit lane scene, and it does not appear that he has any challengers. Jose Gonzalez will once again lead them off the pit road in the number 26 Puerto Rican Meatball Company Chevrolet Hippies Paint Shop on the car as well, and Exo Sanitary Services, Hippies Paint Shop, Quick Car Racing Products, again the people that make it happen here for the ITSR Twisted Cup Series, live as always Tuesday nights on MW Productions. Jose back to the point, going to step away, take another quick commercial break as these guys work off a little bit of pace laps. We'll have more from Sparta, Kentucky coming up on the other side of the break. Back live at the Kentucky Motor Speedway for the greener grass on the other side. 100 from Sparta, Kentucky is the host of this evening's 100-lap, 150-miler event. And closing in on the 2/3 mark and closing in on home, the chase to the checkered flag is starting to heat up as Jose Gonzalez will be the control car once again on this ensuing restart. Lights off on the pace car. Matt Lacrosse going to join Jose on the front row as we pace down the back straightaway, preparing for a lap 64 restart. The 26 has been out front after making a tire strategy call. The only car that we've seen try the 2 tires so far, and it's worked out beautifully, but there's still a possibility of a couple more cautions here as these drivers continue to try to figure out how to make these machines stay pointed the right direction on corner exit. Those back ends very unstable. One driver that said that he felt these cars had a little bit more security than races past is Jose Gonzalez. He's sitting up front and hasn't really had any major close calls so far this evening. So keep an eye on that. He does have a little bit of front end damage on the 26. It doesn't appear to be affected. And now the iRacing Ford First Mustang pace car gets ready to dive down and out of the way to pit road. Jose Gonzalez in control of the field. And once again, about half a second later, on the gas pedal, the green flag flies, and he's off and moving. We're back racing as he sails it off into turn number 1. Bobby Terrell gets the better end of it again. That car that starts in third, able to move up to the number 2 spot. Matt Lacrosse drops back to third after starting alongside our race leader on that front row. So the 21 Lacrosse back to third, side by side for position number 5. The 3 of LD Sarabia is getting freight trained, as the 28 of Ryan Vaughn and the 4 of CJ LaVere both going to pass him through 3 and 4 that last time by. So Sarabia going to go from position number 5 all the way back to 8th, as Ben Burnett was able to complete a pass earlier on the restart, as well as 9 cars remain on the lead lap in this race, and 10 of them still racing at this point. Justin Wilson, Rich Jett, and Douglas Wyatt are retirees for this evening's race. John Wilco is the one car that remains racing. He's 8 laps down in 12th, and if he keeps going into 4 laps time, he'll move up to 10th, passing the retired cars of Rich Jett and Justin Wilson. Jose Gonzalez is up front, but he knows that the way these restarts have gone is at about 10 laps, you're going to find those guys second and third. It seems to be the top 3, and third place appears to be the cutoff, where these guys are really able to utilize a little bit of a draft close in on our race leader, and that's already forming as Matt Lacrosse in third with Bobby Terrell try to close it in, and Brian Harvey in 4th place starts to slide on back. So top 3 is the place to be tonight. Again, they've been very consistent on restarts, and they've been really able to hang tough with our leaders. 4th on back, just too much dirty air for these guys to let it all out and be able to stay on pace with a car that has no dirty air up front. The clean air would be our race leader, Jose Gonzalez. Approaching lap 70. It's lap 67 this time by to turn number 4. Cover to take lap number 68. The increment between first and second, the differential was half a second. This time by, no change. So Jose is trying to do everything that he can to not allow these cars second and third, second the 14 of Terrell, third the 21 Lacrosse once again, to be able to close in on him as they have done in these past few restarts. And if he doesn't allow them to do that, there's no chance at them passing them. He doesn't want to give them a window of opportunity, open a door at all. He's given it everything that he's got down there, and he's no longer going down to the apron, and that may be helping him again. We saw that the 26 would come behind, he'd smack that apron and go back up to arcade in into turn number 1 those last few laps. Even when the guys chasing him down were not doing so. When he was doing that, he was getting caught. He has stopped doing that, and he has stopped getting run down, as he actually put nearly a 10th on Bobby Terrell in second. It's 0.6 of a second now, and this time by the stripe, again, going to get an update. But the 26 of Jose Gonzalez appears to have changed his line, and oh my God, Bobby Terrell just takes nearly half of Jose's lead out of that one. Real fast lap, down to 0.4 of a second. Bobby Terrell, here comes Bobby, given that nickname, known for coming up late in the race, making a late race dash and stealing a win away from somebody, is trying to do the same once again. He started on the front row, got shuffled back a little bit towards mid-pack, and is now trying to close it in and steal a victory from Jose Gonzalez. Again, Jose, really a turnaround night for him this evening, looking for his first top 5 and sitting on only 2 top 10s and 4 starts in this season number 2 with his ITS Twisted Cup guys here tonight. Race number 5, Bobby Terrell, who currently sits second, only sitting on 2 top 5s, 2 top 10s in 3 starts, so missed one of our races. And then Matt Lacrosse is also up there in the mix. Matt Lacrosse currently sitting third on the racetrack. He sits 13th in the championship standings, 3 starts and no top 5s, no top 10s. So the top 3 really looking for some turnaround nights. If it finished the way it sits right now, that would be their first top 5 in these last 4 races for season number 2. And it's interesting to note that, because if you look at the schedule, it has been Dover, Pocono, Michigan, and Infineon, Sonoma, California. So all those races have not been at your typical 1.5. Again, the 1.5 mile speedways are the most common tracks to find in the NASCAR style circuit and the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series schedule, which this series closely resembles that format of 1.5s make up just over 30% of the tracks. This is the first 1.5 mile racetrack that we have gone to, and that's where you're seeing these guys start to dominate. This is, however, the only 1.5 in Season 2. Again, a very diverse selection of tracks that include Daytona, Loudon, Indianapolis, Pocono, Watkins Glen, Michigan, and Bristol to close out season number 2. So not quite at the halfway point yet on season number 2. Season 1 concluded just over a month ago in the 2014, the initial series, the inaugural series for the ITSR Twisted Cup guys. They also have a B series on Thursday night, and they're always looking for people to join, so check them out at their iLeagueRace.com page for more information on that. Matt Lacrosse continuing to battle some handling issues, just got sideways once again, that time at a turn number 2 in the number 21 machine. He's going to drop back a little bit more, but Jose Gonzalez really being a warrior here and not allowing Bobby Terrell to close in again. On the restart, I said, all right, give it about 10 laps, those guys will close in, because that's what happened the last 2-3 restarts to our leader. He gets that great jump, but those guys second and third, which seems to be the cutoff. Again, top 3 within a second. You got to find a 4th place car of Brian Harvey nearly 3 seconds back. So the top 3 is the place to be tonight. But I said those top 3 will be there in about 10 laps. Jose is hanging on tough. Still has a half-second lead over Bobby Terrell in the number 2 position, who is trying to chase down Jose up at the top of the field. Scoring good update once again, down to 4/10. So Jose may have used a little bit of his stuff up, and the 14 of Terrell is trying to work his Muscle Milk Chevrolet back up into the picture and is getting closer and closer, and Jose sees that 14 getting closer and closer in the rear view mirror as these laps continue to wind down. We approach 20 laps to go, this time by the start finish line. It is 23 laps to go in this race, so just past the 3/4 distance in tonight's affair. Again, 100 laps is a fair amount, but these guys running sub 30-second laps. They should up at the front of the field, so nearly a sprint of sorts. Green flag flew actually just an hour ago to the second as I glance up at the laps time counter in the iRacing sim. So they've been racing for just over an hour now, and will conclude here in not too long, as Jose Gonzalez probably doesn't want to see any more cautions because he doesn't want to give those guys behind him to give another chance at closing in. However, Bobby Terrell may not need a restart to close in. He may not need another chance at a restart to nail it and get back up to the bumper. He may just drive up there. It's 3/10, 0.388 seconds separate the top 2 as Terrell continues to close third. Matt Lacrosse not really making up as much headway as Bobby Terrell is. He's 7/10 back in third as they come by the stripe once again. Jose has now started to once again use the apron on the front straightaway. Terrell's lead is sliced by about half of a tenth. It's down from 0.388 to 342 seconds, so still about 3/10 separate the top 2. No real other close battles on the racetrack. LD Sarabia, the last car on the lead lap, in the number 3 machine in position number 9. Stephen Herring not too far behind Ryan Vaughn. Herring is 8th and Vaughn is 7th, but those two sit about 10 seconds behind our leaders. As Matt Lacrosse trying to make a move for second to the inside on lap 81 and clear of Bobby Terrell. So Matt Lacrosse really driving that car hard, and we've seen that 21 break sideways on corner exit without notice before. But he doesn't care at this point. He's driving that 21 as hard as he can, right on that threshold, right on the edge, trying to get as much as he can out of his Fearless Racing Chevrolet. The 21 up to second and blistering fast. Not only did he complete a lap, but he was able to pick up a tenth, and he went from 5/10 back to 4/10 back. So the gap between the top 2 has dropped to 4/10 back, but that was with the pass of Matt Lacrosse, has dropped Bobby Terrell nearly out of the picture. He's about 8 car lengths back from Lacrosse Terrell. Terrell's going to try to close that back in and work that draft, but this could come down to a wild finish. We've seen them before here with the ITSR Twisted Cup Series guys, but this race has had everything but green flag pit stops. You've had side-by-side action, you've had crossovers, you've had dive bombs, sliding up in front of people, slide jobs, everything. And now it's going to come down to not a shootout to the finish, but you got to work to get into contention to make it a shootout in those last few laps. Matt Lacrosse looking real strong through 3 and 4. This time by the stripe. Scoring's going to update once again, 0.3 quicker. Jose Gonzalez running a solid 30.0, but a 29.8. For Matt Lacrosse has closed that gap into just under 0.2 of a second between the top two. Bobby Terrell still sits nearly a second out of this picture. Is it too late for the 14? We were just saying that about Matt Lacrosse about 10 laps ago, that Bobby Terrell was the one making the headway and Matt Lacrosse was kind of stalled out. Now Bobby Terrell finds himself in the same picture. 0.7 seconds back is Terrell from Jose Gonzalez. So Terrell sits about 0.6 back from Lacrosse in second. Lacrosse was able to recover. Dewey see the 14, recovered 21 to Matt Lacrosse sideways at a turn number 2 as he was there, and he was nearly on the bumper of Jose Gonzalez, but the 21 is pushing that car to the limit, trying to get whatever he can and try to close in on Jose Gonzalez. That time by 15 laps remain in this race. Does it stay green? The cautions that we've seen really haven't come from racing incidents as opposed to single car spins on corner exit, which is always a treacherous part on the current tire model. Battle for position number 6, Ben Burnett and Ryan Vaughn going at it, but up front, side by side for the lead. 21 of Matt Lacrosse to the inside, side by side at the stripe. Jose had it. If that was the checkered flag, they got to work a lap car, which makes it 3 wide, and because of that, the 21 of Matt Lacrosse gets in and out. Look at Jose nearly to the apron, the lowest we've seen anybody all race long, and he does a crossover on Matt Lacrosse, and now we're side by side into 3. Jose on the inside pulls away in the corner entrance of 3, and now at a turn number 4 in a wild lap as Jose Gonzalez has to back out of it as a lap car would have forced the 3 wide, nearly had the left side tires on the yellow line in turn 1. We hadn't seen anybody ride that low all race long and completed the pass. Now here comes Matt Lacrosse in the 21. He's on the bumper, takes a look at the left rear. Does he look low? No, he backs out of it before they enter turn number 3. Now here comes the 14 of Bobby Terrell once again into the picture. Top 3 separated by only 0.3 of a second. Jose to the apron, acts as a form of blocking. He's got to slide back up. He still has room and ends up putting a little bit of a block on the 21 of Matt Lacrosse. However, that is the way Jose has been driving his line. Jose slides up high to 2, the 21 of Matt Lacrosse to the bottom. Can he get a nose there? It's close. He's going to have the position side by side now in turn 3. 21 of Matt Lacrosse on the bottom, trying to make some headway. 26 of Jose Gonzalez going to get the run at a turn number 4. Advantage Lacrosse. That time by the stripe. 11 laps remain. The 21 of Matt Lacrosse with an advantage over Jose Gonzalez. Jose has to check up as the 21 of Lacrosse slides high, and Matt Lacrosse is going to take sole possession of the number 1 position. And now as they battle for second, that will only help the 21's case. 14 of Bobby Terrell to second, and now Jose Gonzalez finds himself dropped back to position number 3 with a mere 10 laps remaining in this race, and the top 3 still only separated by half of a second. The 26, we know he's strong. He made that power move on the bottom in 1 and 2 to be able to protect the 21's initial pass. Matt Lacrosse was able to get a good run and drove it in real hard to 3 and 4 to assert the inside position, which would end up giving him the lead. Now it's Bobby Terrell's chance. That car in second can use that draft and try to catch back up to the leaders. Not a lot. It's not like Talladega where you're going to get behind the guy and you're going to just suck right up to his bumper and push him. But there is a little bit of a draft. If you can chase that guy's line in front of you, it breaks up the dirty air a little bit, creates a little bit of a pocket in the air, and you can try to make up a little bit more speed. Make up time now as through 3 and 4. 21 of Matt Lacrosse. The gap is 4 seconds. Back to the car who sits second on the racetrack, the 14 of Bobby Terrell. Scoring updates, it is 2/10 back to Terrell, but it is 6/10 back to Jose. However, Terrell was in that position 6/10 back only 5 laps ago. Does Jose still have a shot at hanging on to this? He is slipping though. The 26 Chevrolet is starting to lose touch with our top 2 drivers on the racetrack, and will this turn into a 2-horse race between the Quick Car Chevrolet 21 of Matt Lacrosse and the Muscle Milk Chevy 14 of Bobby Terrell. Lap 94 in the works through turns 1 and 2. The Fearless Racing Chevy is still up front. That is Matt Lacrosse in the number 1 spot. The 14 of Bobby Terrell closing in now in second. A car length, half a car length, tries to make it in turn 3 and 4 as the 21 rides a little bit higher. Bobby Terrell runs a little bit of a lower line and sweeps high coming off the corner, searching all over the racetrack, trying to find a way to get that speed that he needs to get up to the number 1 spot. Right now, Douglas Wyatt back in the pack again. He is the last car in the race. 13th, he's out of it. Rich Jett's out of it. Justin Wilson is out of it. Those are 3 guys that have gone from the top 3 nearly and wrecked their cars over driving it. How hard will the top 2 push? It is half a car length. It's inches now and only feet now that separate the top 2. 5 laps to go. Does Bobby Terrell look high? He thinks about it going into 1, thinks better of it, and Jose Gonzalez is out of this battle over a second back. So it is a 2-horse race. If a caution were to fly from here on out, the race would end, and the car in the number 1 position will win it. The 14 of Terrell knows it, but he's going to try to be patient. This time by 4 laps remain as we take lap number 97. The 14 of Terrell trying to set up Matt Lacrosse for the pass. Terrell on the season, entering tonight, no wins and 2 top 5. The likes of 21 of Matt Lacrosse in a similar situation, sitting on no wins but no top 5. So if these 2 remain up in the top 2 spots, we're going to see our first winner for season 2 here in race 5. And here we go, side by side. 14 of Terrell with a great run out of turn number 4 to the bottom with 3 laps to go. And Bobby Terrell completes the pass going into 1. The 21 of Matt Lacrosse drives it in hard to his bumper, half a car length. Going up out of turn number 2, the 21 tries to trace Terrell. He closes in. It's mere inches now that separate the top 2, and they are bumper to bumper in 3 and 4. Coming up to 2 laps to go at a turn number 4, it is Bobby Terrell. Can he pull it again? And here comes Bobby. Can he do it once again? Late in the race and steal it from both Matt Lacrosse and Jose Gonzalez, as Jose has really dropped out of it. He's 3 seconds back in third. Does the 21 of Lacrosse have enough time? He is starting to slip. It was 1/10 of a second the last time by the stripe as we start to close in on the white flag. Coming out through 3 and 4, the 21 of Lacrosse just can't get back to the gas in time. Bobby Terrell, white flag for the Muscle Milk Chevrolet. Lap 100 is on the board. Next flag will end this race. It is an official one as Matt Lacrosse trying to close. He looks high. There is just too much distance. He does not have enough time to work that draft, and now through 3 and 4 for the final time, Bobby Terrell, after starting in position number 2, is going to work up off of corner number 4. The Muscle Milk Chevy is going to go to victory lane. Greener grass on the other side, 100 to Bobby Terrell. Matt Lacrosse is able to come home in second. Bobby Terrell finishes third, but almost 5 seconds back. He was unable to keep pace there at the end. Brian Harvey fourth. CJ LeVere in fifth. We're going to step away, take our final commercial break. When we come back, the post-race show, talk to the top 3 finishers, and get you set for next week's race at Daytona. You're watching the ITSR Twisted Cup Tuesday nights on MW Productions, the post-race show from the Kentucky Motor Speedway, coming up right after the break.
Hi, I'm Todd Malmstrom, driver of the 75M Ford Mustang GT. This is what I do by night. And this is what I do by day. I sell new Fords, and I've got the best selection of used inventory that you could ask for. Come see me down here at Section 4.
Are you tired of getting hassled at the dealerships? Looking for a salesman that knows what he's talking about? Are you looking to buy a new or used car? Then look no further! Sexton Ford Moline, Illinois has the biggest selection of new or pre-owned vehicles, and Todd Malmstrom is the salesman you want. Todd is an expert when it comes to cars, and if you don't believe me, then you should see him race on a Sunday night. With his top-notch professional customer service and expertise, he will make sure you go home in the right car for the right price. No hassle, no haggling. Todd will make sure that you're happy when you leave the lot with your new or pre-owned vehicle. Remember, Sexton Ford may be the talk of the town, but so is Todd Malmstrom. If you're in the market for a new ride, then buy one from a winner. Todd Malmstrom at Sexton Ford Moline.
And back live here with the ITSR Twisted Cup Nights at the Kentucky Speedway. After 100 laps, our race comes to a close with Bobby Terrell on the top of the pile, but first caught up down here on pit road with the driver of the 26, Jose Gonzalez. Jose, you were leading there late at the end. They were able to make the pass on you, and the 26 was just not able to hang on. You ended up 4.5 seconds back. What were you missing there at the end? And if you didn't get past, do you think you were able to hang on, or did you just have not enough left in those tires?
No, I didn't have any more tires. I actually what I was missing was a little fuel. I instead of taking full tank, I took 1 gallon of fuel in the last stop. I figured I'll make the car a little tighter, and what I did is I made it too tight. And the first few laps I was flying, but all of a sudden I just got really tight, and you know, that was that. And I was so tight I could ride the apron, and I was still tight. And that's I pulled the move there on the first groove on Matt, a crossover. We were almost 3 wide there, and that's the reason I could hold it. I was so tight that was the only place I could actually run good. So yeah, even if there was no way I would have caught them.
No, we saw that with those left side tires nearly on that yellow line in the middle of the corner. You took a 2-tire strategy that brought you up from kind of mid-pack to the number 1 spot, and then it worked. You were able to hang on to the lead till the next pit stop. Nobody else took the 2 tires, but I'm assuming that worked out pretty good for you.
Yeah, 2 tires were fine. The only this setup was really stable. It was I think this year it's been the most easier car to drive, and the only issue would be exiting turn 2. You could get a little loose there, and that was the only problem I had, you know, exiting that turn. So that's why I tried to make it tighter, but you know, that was a mistake on my part. But the 2 tires were fine because you get 2 new tires, and it helps on the turn, into the turn. But you know, it worked. The 2 tires worked good. The no fuel didn't work.
Well, it is your 4th top 5 in 5 starts and 5th straight top 10. So that's a pretty solid way, I would say, to start off the second season here in 2014. Your immediate challengers weren't really in tonight's race. Actually, they weren't in tonight's race at all. So you're going to be able to walk away with the points lead heading into Daytona next week. How do you prepare for going into a crapshoot like that?
You don't. You just try to cross your fingers and have fun and try to get your nose clean. But usually you don't have control over your destiny there. So I really like racing the super speedways. I think it's really fun to draft and Daytona and Talladega, and but the downside is that you usually don't control your destiny, but it's all right. I mean, I think it's a good mixture there, and it makes things fun for everybody.
Definitely. Well, you come home third. Any sponsors and shout-outs that you want to thank? Who makes it happen for you in the 2016?
Hippie's Paint Shop and Quick Car and the Meatball Company of Puerto Rico, the best meatballs in Puerto Rico, and congratulations to Bobby and Matt for a great race.
Definitely 10-4. Congrats on third, and we'll see what happens next week at Daytona.
All right, see you next week.
That is Jose Gonzalez, driver of the 26 machine, comes home in third, and now going to scoot on over to Matt Lacrosse, who comes home in second. And Matt, you were hanging on to that 21, and that thing had a couple of close moments and didn't go your way sometimes, but you were able to recover, coming home in second. Bobby was able to just pull away from you there in the closing laps. Walk us through that.
Yeah, I was trying to save a little bit for Jose. He took 1 gallon of fuel. I think I took like 2 or 3. I took a little bit, and I think Bobby got a full tank, so that could have been the difference in the race. I was starting to get a little tight too, but I was trying to save my tires, and apparently Bobby either saved his tires or that extra fuel really helped him not be so tight. So yeah, I knew he was catching me, and I was hoping I could pull away, but yeah, I was just gonna let him go. There's no point in trying to wreck. I'll take a second. I mean, if I can't win, I'd rather finish second than 12th. So
Definitely. Entering this evening's race, it was 100 laps on the board, so sounds like a pretty good distance race, but it was rather short with you guys running sub 30-second lap times. And all the cautions, we didn't see one caution for car-to-car contact. It was for these cars getting sideways off the corner and trying to control it. How stable was your 21? I know you had a couple of incidents there.
yeah, it was pretty loose for me. It's definitely a driver's track, a throttle. You have to be easy on the throttle coming off the corners. You couldn't drive in too hard. It was almost like if you drove it in too hard, it'd feel like it'd be pushing, and then if you just stayed in the gas and keep turning to the left, it would just snap loose on you. So you just had to be really easy on the throttle, getting off the corners. And for the first few laps, the thing was like a rocket ship. You could pretty much hammer it down and it would stick. But then once the tires got some wear on them, they would just lose grip. And there towards the end, you lose grip, and all of a sudden you lose so much grip that you're like pushing. It's weird, but yeah, it was fun. It's you can't go to sleep racing here, that's for sure. You're always on your toes.
It kept it entertaining for us watching the racing. You try to battle and find that grip. You entered tonight 13th in the championship standings. This is your first top 5, so also going to be your first top 10. You did miss one start, so you've started 4 out of the 5 races. What kind of outlook do you need to take? A little bit of a different approach to these next few races, trying to make up some points, especially going into a place like Daytona? How do you have to approach these things, knowing where you are in points and try to claw your way up and improve that position here?
Because I missed that one race, that pretty much will probably take me out of the points. So from here to the end of the season, I'm just going to try to win every race I can, and that's about it.
Not going to be points race, and he's going to be going for the win, and that's going to keep it fun for us to watch. Sponsors, shout out to everyone. I thank the mic's all yours.
Quick Car Racing Products, like Hippie's Paint Shop, the Meatball Company of Puerto Rico. I haven't had their meatballs. I have to have Jose send me one. I don't know if it'll make it here and still be in good condition, but I have them put on ice or something. You guys up in the booth at MDA Productions, you guys do a great job.
Definitely 10-4. Well, congrats on the top 2 finish. I know you would have liked more, but it'll be interesting to see and what happens next week at Daytona. So good luck in advance for that one.
Thank you, sir.
That is Matt Lacrosse, second place finisher here this evening in the number 21. And now we get to our winner. Here comes Bobby once again. He started on the front row, couldn't make it easy for himself, dropped back at the pack, and once again a late race charge to put the 14 in victory lane. How'd you do it?
Wow. I mean, I just, like I said, either the gas, I'm not sure if it was the gas, but I mean, from the start, I was saving gas, saving my tires. I was hoping we would go long. I mean, that's what I was hoping for. And then right there, that one long run where they just took off, and I was like, man, they're really flying. And I thought, well, I'm just going to keep running my pace, and hopefully I can reel them in. And then, like I said, a caution come out, so that threw that out the window. And I said, well, I don't think I quite filled it up, but I know I put more fuel in than they did. I either put 3.4 or 5, I can't remember. And just ran with them and was trying to take care of my stuff. I mean, I was running with them, but at the same time taking care of it, and then was hoping that they used theirs up, and like I said, they started getting tight at the end, and I was able to get around them. It was fun. I mean, that was a good race.
It made it very entertaining for us coming down to those closing laps, and you were able to just get enough to kind of pull away and make it a little bit easier on yourself there in that final lap. Really didn't have anybody knocking on the door. You pulled about a second over Matt Lacrosse, qualified in second. And again, one of the stories tonight is the fact that these cars continue to be a little bit of a handful off the corner. Your 14 seemed like it was pointed the right direction pretty much the whole night, besides those burnouts you did there on that front straightaway to close it out. How was the car?
The car was, like I said, real sketchy around two, and I mean, I lost it one time just right when the caution come out. I mean, I was in the process of losing it, and the caution come out, and it made me lose it even more. I checked up more or something. It just messed me up. But that was the only real incident I had, and then I got into Rich one time. He hit the wall, and I kind of bounced into him, and other than that, like I said, I was just trying to save gas at first and trying to save my tires, and like I said, if that one long run we got there, and then that caution come out, I mean, I looked at my tire wear, and they were way above 90, and I was like, this is good. So I wish it had stayed green.
Definitely entering tonight, and you're kind of in the same boat as Matt. You missed one of the starts. You started 3 races out of the 4 entering tonight. So realistically, the hopes at the championship are looking pretty far. You entered 58 points back. Who knows what happens? It's still a far out possibility, but realistically, you're trying to pick up some points. You did pick up your first win here this evening for season number 2. You led your first laps. Got to be a little bit of a confidence booster. However, you can't really get into a rhythm going forward to Daytona. I know I talked to Jose about how do you prepare for a race like that. You really can't, because a lot of it is out of your control. But I mean, going into a race like that where you know a bunch of the guys, it's got to make the racing a little bit better. Are you guys already talking about who's going to work with who? I know you got teammates out there. How does that all work?
Well, I mean, we'll find out in practice. I'll try. I try to work with everybody actually, and just see what we've got. Like I said, yeah, this is my first win. Led first laps I've led, so it was good. And like I said, it does give me confidence going into Daytona. But like I said, Daytona's a crapshoot. So, but I like super speedways too, just like Jose. So, maybe we can have a hook up and have a good finish with someone.
At definitely 10-4, you're in victory lane. The mic's all yours. Who you want to thank?
I got to thank Muscle Milk, of course, and then you guys up in the booth, MW Productions, y'all do a good job, and then ITS SR, for putting the series on, and Hippie's Paint Shop. And like I said, a shout out to Matt and Jose. That was really fun. We raced each other clean, and it was just fun.
10-4, well, congrats on the victory. We'll be looking for the number 14 back up front next week. Good luck going into Daytona.
Thank you. I sure hope so.
That is going to do it for this evening's coverage. Live, as always, on MW Productions. Another ITSR Cup Series race is in the books, with Bobby Terrell going to victory lane, Matt Lacrosse second, Jose Gonzalez third, Brian Harvey walks away with the 4th place finish, CJ Lavere 5th, Ryan Vaughn in 6th, Ben Burnett comes home 7th. Last car in the lead lap, Stephen Herring in 8th, LD Sarabia 1 lap down in 9th. In the 10th position, John Wilco 11th, Justin Wilson, Rich Jet 12th, and Douglas Riot rounds out our 13-car field. That does it for tonight. We will see you next time when we say let's go racing from Daytona under the lights, the World Center of Racing. Until then, thanks to everybody on our broadcast crew, everybody in the top 3, everybody at ITSR, Exo Sanitary Products, Hippies Paint Shop, Quick Car Racing Products, and everybody else that makes things possible here. For Michael Woolley and the production hauler pushing all the buttons and getting us on air, my name is Evan Poselko. We'll see you next week under the lights at Daytona.